Hello, you are welcome to Messiah Revelation Ministry, which is a prophetic end time ministry that is dedicated to preparing the world for the arrival of the Messiah. It is also part of our mission to awaken the Hebrews who are scattered over the world. The prophet Isaiah has stated in Isaiah 11:12 that the Messiah, Yeshua, will gather the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah. It is stated in Isaiah 11 verse 12. And no longer would there be animosity between Ephraim and Judah. And the prophet Isaiah has stated that in Isaiah chapter 11 verse 13. And so let's look at what the prophet Isaiah has prophesied in Isaiah chapter 11 verse 13. And if you go to Isaiah 11 verse 12, it stated, "And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth." And after that, the prophet Isaiah in Isaiah 11 verse 13 says, "The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim." And so it's very clear. The animosity between Ephraim and Judah will cease when the Messiah gathered the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah. Israel was one, but division arose among them after the rule of Jeroboam, King Jeroboam, and the nation was divided into two. The northern tribes, 10 of them, called Ephraim, and then the southern tribes, 2 of them, are called Judah. And that animosity has persisted. And the prophet Isaiah is saying that that animosity between Ephraim and Judah will no longer be there, and Ephraim will not be angry at Judah, and Judah will not be angry at Ephraim. If there were any division that was caused by animosity, if there were any division that was caused by colonial powers, if there were any division that were caused by personal greed and clamor for political power and fame among the Hebrews who were scattered over the world, that animosity will cease, because the prophet Isaiah has stated that Ephraim will no longer be envious of Judah, and Judah will not be envious of Ephraim. This prophecy is very important. We're looking at the states of the conditions of the Hebrews, the black people, the chosen of God, who are scattered all over the world. We are not going into details why the Hebrews are scattered over the world. You know they are scattered over the world, and the prophet Isaiah is predicting when they will be gathered from all the four corners of the earth. You can read it in Isaiah 11 verse 11 and Isaiah 11 and 12. And it's a future occurrence. And so when we're talking about the gathering of the Hebrews, we are not talking about the 1948 state. We are talking about the Hebrews who are scattered over the world. And the prophet Isaiah is saying that there's animosity between Ephraim and Judah, and the Lord will gather the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah. And so the prophet Isaiah mentioned two groups of people. he mentioned the outcasts of Israel, and he also mentioned the dispersed of Judah. So the children of God are divided into two, Ephraim and Judah. And the reason why they are divided into two is that there's animosity between them. And that animosity arose after the rule of King Jeroboam. And no longer would there be an envy between Ephraim and Judah. And that animosity, that envy will cease. Black on black envy will cease. Black on black crime will cease. If you look at the United States, the Hebrews are scattered in the United States as a result of the transatlantic slave trade. And there is animosity between the Hebrews who are in America and the Hebrews who are in Africa and other parts of the world. And the animosity is related to a question: who is a true Hebrew Israelite? And a lot of people, particularly in the United States, they conclude that to be a true Hebrew Israelite, you must have gone through the curses in Deuteronomy 28, and particularly you should have, your ancestors should have gone through 28 verse 68, the ship aspect of it. And so you cannot be a true Hebrew unless your ancestors were subjected to captivity by way of being shipped and sold as slaves. So that animosity is there. Who is a true Hebrew and who is not a true Hebrew? If you look at Isaiah 11:11, the dispersed of Judah and the outcasts of Israel, they will be gathered from different places. Cush is mentioned, and Cush is in Africa. And the islands of the sea are also mentioned. The Messiah will gather them, and no longer will there be an envy or a debate about who is a Hebrew Israelite and who is not a Hebrew Israelite. Because when the event comes and when the Messiah gathers the outcasts of Israel, Ephraim, and the dispersed of Judah from all the four corners of the earth, no longer will there be any envy and no animosity. And if the world will know who the true Hebrews are, because the Lord will gather them, whether they are in Brazil, whether they are in Barbados, whether they are in Asia, whether they are on the African continent, wherever they are, the Messiah will gather them. The animosity is still going on, as I told you. The first basis of division, the first angle is who is a true Hebrew and who is not a true Hebrew. It's an animosity. We are not talking about DNA. We are not talking about color of skin. We are not talking about who is more informed and who is less informed. We are talking about a bloodline, and the bloodline is supernatural. The Lord will gather everyone who is a Hebrew, and it will not be dependent upon who takes a DNA test from a Jewish agency or from a medical doctor or from any other group. And the animosity between Ephraim and Judah will cease, because who is who? The Lord will show who is a Hebrew and who is not a Hebrew. Definitely, if you are gathered, it means you are a Hebrew. If you are not gathered, it means you are not. And so the 1948 state, a time will come when it will be clear, abundantly clear, whether the Hebrews or not, because the Messiah is yet to gather the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah. And after that, the envy between Ephraim and Judah will cease. The debate who is a Hebrew, who is not, will cease. Even in the United States, there are a lot of groups purporting to be Hebrew Israelite groups, and there are a lot of divisions, and they differ on so many things, and even among them, they differ as to who is a Hebrew and who is not, and who is the tribe of Manasseh, who is the tribe of Benjamin, which groups presently living are the tribe of which groups in the Bible. There are a lot of debate, and the debate sometimes becomes violent, and no longer will there be envy between Ephraim and Judah. And when the Messiah gathers the true Hebrew Israelites, as the prophet Isaiah has stated in Isaiah chapter 11, verse 13, the envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. The adversary of Judah shall be cut off. The Lord will say, quit it, stop that envy, stop that animosity. There's no distinction between Ephraim and Judah, because all are one. And for some reason, the children of Israel, they were scattered, they were divided, and the enemy came to divide them. But no longer would there be a division among the Israelites. And there wouldn't be Ephraim and Judah, there would be one Israelite community, and it is the Messiah who will rule over them. At the time of making this video, there are a lot of debates going on, and the debate is irrelevant to somebody's salvation. Who is a Shemite, who is a Hamite? Some black people in so and so continent, they are not Shemite, they are Hamite, and they cannot be true Hebrews. That debate will not be necessary, because the prophet Isaiah is saying that the animosity between Ephraim and Judah will depart, because the Messiah himself will rule. The Messiah will gather the true Hebrews, the true Ephraimites, the true Judeans from the four corners of the earth. The Bible is full of envy. You remember the case of John and James, the sons of Zebedee. Their mother came to the Messiah, and the mother asked the Messiah if the Messiah will allow John and James to sit on the right hand and on the left hand of God in the kingdom that is coming. And so even among the apostles, among the disciples of Jesus, they were divided. And there was, I would say, superiority complex among some of them. And John and James, sons of Zebedee, they wanted to be placed in a high table in the kingdom of the Messiah. And the Messiah said it is not his authority, it is not within his authority to give the request, to grant the request to seat John and James at the rightful positions in the kingdom of the Messiah. The animosity is still going on between Ephraim and Judah. The animosity is still existing between the Hebrews who are in America and who are in the Caribbean, and who is better and who is not better. And that animosity is still there. I remember I rented a place in Pittsburgh, and my landlord was a black American. So I asked him a question. His name is Mr. Salter. I'm not sure whether he's still alive. I asked him a question. Mr. Salter, how was it like being a black man in America in the 1960s, because I don't know what happened during the time of slavery. You probably saw it, or you know about it. So tell me, how is it to be a black man? How to be a person of color, even in America? And Mr. Sutter felt offended by the question. Um, he said it was not good, life was not good, and he also blamed Africans for selling their brothers into slavery. So the question that I asked him was not answered, but he let me know that he has a hatred and animosity towards Africans because they sold, quote unquote, their brothers into slavery. He was a nice man, and among all his tenants, he liked me the most, and everybody knew he liked me the most. He didn't hate me. However, there is a perception that Africans sold um, their um, their brothers and sisters into slavery. We are not going into details about it, but it is one of the animosities that exist among the children of God, among the Hebrews who are scattered over the world. That animosity will cease to exist. And the life of Randall Robinson shows that there are some people who will not be they will not be they will not be tempted to dwell on the animosities. Randall Robinson was an African American intellectual, a lawyer. He had a foundation, and he devoted all his time to freedom for black people in South Africa, and went on fasting to pray and to challenge American foreign policy towards apartheid South Africa. And Randall Robinson was instrumental in fighting for the end of apartheid in South Africa, and also fighting for America's unlawful policies towards Haiti. And as you are aware, these are people, these are nations that were actually going through racial discrimination, and black people going through racial discrimination, going through turmoil, going through rebellion, going through all the animosities that the Bible talks about, animosities that will come between Ephraim and Judah, and that animosity will cease when the Messiah gathers the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah. Even among black men and women who are evangelicals, who are supposedly preaching the message of the Lord, the animosity is still there. Who is better? Who has a bigger congregation? Who knows how to speak the Bible very well? And the animosity is still there. And there's animosity among even black evangelicals, those who admit that the children of Jacob are so scattered over the world, and they are the black people who are scattered over the world. There are some evangelicals, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to have anything to do with it. Even a pastor that I know in Philadelphia who believes that the Hebrews are black people, he doesn't awaken his congregation that they are the Hebrews. So there's animosity going on even among evangelicals, and that animosity is rooted in so many things. Fame, even skin color, class, competition for prominence, competition for celebrity status. Who is better? Who has better congregation? Who is wealthy? who is wealthier, who is richer, who is able to mesmerize the congregation, and who is not. The division is still going on among Ephraim and Judah, among the true Hebrew Israelites. I met some students from Trinidad and Barbados in the United States, and always there was the debates and envy and competition. Who has better accent, English accent? Who speaks the best English? Who speaks the Queen's English? And a lot of people were saying that, oh, I'm from Barbados. We speak better. We have better accent. You are from Trinidad, and you don't have the Queen's accent. And when you speak, people don't hear. The children of God, their culture has been taken away from them. And so if you look at Africa, West Africa, either you speak French or you speak English. The culture has been taken away from them, and it was done intentionally. And so there was a time I met a lady, a lawyer, an African American lady, and anytime I spoke, she said, "Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear your accent." And then I waited until this lady, a lawyer, went to court as a lawyer in Pittsburgh. And then the judge, a white judge, told that lawyer, an African American woman lawyer, born in America. She is originally an American because she was born in America. Ancestors born in America. And the lawyer told her, "I speak English. I can't understand you." And so the woman actually appreciated how the children of God, they are humiliated. How come a lawyer born in America cannot speak English? And the lady is from New York. I would probably say she speaks with New York accent. But the judge, a white judge, wanted this lawyer to speak good English. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who appreciate what I'm saying, even among black people. The way you speak, some people will say you don't speak well. And when they say you don't speak well, they are talking about a foreign language. It is not the Hebrew language that was stripped off from the children of God. It is not the Hebrew language. It's a foreign language that was imposed on the Hebrews who were taken as slaves. And so even presently in Africa, I know a pastor who is also a lawyer, a woman, a lady, a Ghanaian pastor. She cannot pray in the native language. She speaks the native language, but she cannot say any prayers in the native language. She cannot read the Bible that is translated in the native language. She can only read the Bible that is written in English. She can only pray in English. She was born in Ghana. And her father is a noted Africanist, very proud. He's so proud that when he speaks, he doesn't want to use any English word in it. He's internationally known as an expert on African culture. But his daughter, a lawyer and a pastor, cannot pray to her congregation in the native language. And if you give her a Bible translated into the native language, she cannot read it. Of course, she's trained in the European tradition. And so, how can this woman actually commingle with people who don't speak English? How can she preach to people who don't speak English when she cannot say prayers in the native language, when she cannot read the Bible, if the Bible is translated in a local language? So the division is still going on, and the divisions, some of them are the result of cultural imposition by European powers, Gentile powers, who stripped the Hebrew of his Hebrew culture and imposed on him alien culture. And so now there is even division among the Hebrews, whether you should accept gay marriage and whether you should not accept gay marriage, whether you should follow a hidden culture even though it contradicts the commandments in the Bible. There's a division. Gay affirming churches and churches that oppose gay marriage among Hebrew communities in the United States, among Hebrew communities in the Caribbean, among Hebrew communities in Africa. So animosity and divisions between Ephraim and Judah. The Messiah is saying that no longer would there be animosity between Ephraim and Judah. Even the civil rights movement, they were in one accord, but there were division among them. Division between W.E.B. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey. And if you look at history, some of the hatred and animosity between W.E.B. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey are centered on race and skin color. Even among the leading civil rights and Pan-Africanists, W.E.B. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey, all of them were in one accord. And they were Pan-Africanists, but they also had personal divisions between them, W.E.B. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey. And that division was fueled by Gentile powers. Some of them are fueled by Gentile powers. But the time is coming when the Messiah will gather the true Hebrews who are scattered over the world. I'm not saying that every black person is a Hebrew. I'm not saying any Caribbean, any American. I'm not saying all Caribbean, all Americans, or all Africans are Hebrews. I'm not going in that. And it is only the Lord who will know who is a Hebrew and who is not a Hebrew. And the time will come and he will gather the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah. And the prophet Isaiah in Isaiah 11:13 is saying that no longer would there be an envy between Ephraim and Judah. No longer would there be an envy between the African and the so-called African Americans. And that preface will no longer work. The preface will no longer work. And so now, even when African Americans are moving to Africa, you hear about tension between Africans and African Americans in some countries, whether you're talking about Tanzania, Ghana, or you're talking about Gambia. It's all because of the animosity between Ephraim and Judah. There wouldn't be anything like black on black violence. There wouldn't be anything like black on black crime, because Ephraim and Judah will be working in one accord, and they will be under the kingdom of Yeshua, the Messiah who is coming. And so we are hopeful that the day will come when there will be no longer envy between Ephraim and Judah, and the animosity of Judah against Ephraim will be cut off. And instead, as Isaiah is saying in Isaiah 11, verse 14, but they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. In other words, all Hebrews who are scattered over the world, they will not be undermined. They will not be intimidated. They will not be divided. They will not fight among themselves. They will work together. And together they will spoil their enemies, whether they are Moabites, whether they are Edomites. The Lord will gather them together. During the time of Jeroboam, the children of God were divided into northern kingdom and southern kingdom, Ephraim and Judah. The days are coming, and it is very short. The Messiah will gather the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah. And whether you were in the Caribbean, you were in North America, you were in Africa, there will no longer be animosity between you. You are all one people. Years of separation have resulted in divisions. Years of manipulations and machinations have resulted in divisions and envy and animosity between you. But the Messiah surely and shortly will gather the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah, and the envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Thank you for watching this video.